is so good to have you guys joining in with us for our weekend services here online. My name is Joe. If we haven't had a chance to meet before, one of the pastors here at our Bath campus, and can't wait to continue to dive into this series. It's going to be so good. But hey, while you're there, make sure you get all situated. I want to make sure that even though maybe you're watching in your living room or your back patio, or maybe it's a hotel on the road, wherever you happen to be zooming in from right now, we are just glad that you're here. And I want to make sure that you have a wonderful experience. Kind of want to walk you through a few things, but also give you some updates on the life of the church that have been happening this fall as well. So make sure you get that app downloaded, ready to go. You're going to love having that at your fingertips for this message, as well as the kind of exploring all the things that are happening here in the life of the church. And also just make sure you kind of settle in and try to get as distraction-free as possible. And so we want to make sure that we're spending as much time as we can really becoming full disciples of Jesus. Here at Grace, we talk about how can we know him more and more, and how can we continue to build that relationship with him. We want to know it, we want to live it, we want to give it away. We want to make sure that our faith is balanced, that we're kind of seeking after how we understand him and know him, how we live that out with other people, and also how we give it away, how we share just how awesome Jesus is with the people all around us. Now, this fall has been amazing already. Personally, I love the fall. October and even the beginning of November is like my favorite season of the entire year. So loving that, loving the football, loving the leaves, loving the temperature. It's just, I love it. But here at Grace, there's lots of stuff going on as well. Our groups are getting in a groove, and a lot of the teams that we have are starting to hit another stride. And so if these are things that you've been meaning to get plugged into, maybe the start of fall spiked for you, and now you're like, how do I settle in and be a part of things? Now is your chance. So make sure you peruse those things on the app. Make sure you find your place, your people to be connected to. And then we can also find our purpose, and we can find our pathways as well. And so as you begin to explore, how can I personally grow closer to Jesus? We want to help you do that. And how can I find a way to make the biggest impact with others? We can help you do that as well. And so again, the fall has been kicked off to a great start, moving here closer to the Halloween season, the harvest season. And I want to just encourage you, this is such a great time to connect with other people. People love being outdoors. They love exploring all that outdoor fall weather stuff that we have going on this time of year. And it's a great time to look for ways to serve people, help people, show them the kindness of Christ, and maybe even invite them out to join us in service. So if you're coming here, you can join them to follow along. Or if you're out of the area or something like that, maybe you can start your own little watching nook and invite them to your living room or wherever you happen to be, and kind of have a small viewing group there. So lots of ways to get connected, lots of ways to make that impact, and we want to help make sure that you can do that. Now, you always have access to our team and our leadership here. And so you can always message us through our app. You can always find us online. You can always reach out to us through social media. Our team is always monitoring those things. We'd love to be praying. We'd love to be connecting with you. Just because we might be watching through a screen doesn't mean we want to be any less personable. And so if we can be praying for you or helping you in any way, regardless of where you're at, we want to be there together as we navigate our relationship with Christ. I also want to remind you to check out some of our resources. And so not only can you check out some of our past messages and teachings online, but you can also check out things like our Mixed Messages podcast as we continue to navigate some of the questions and tension points in our culture on a regular basis. And so jump online or on our app again, and you'll find those things as well. Now, as we settle in here, as I mentioned, we want to be as distraction-free as possible. And so grab that, cold lemonade or hot cup of coffee, settle into this fall weather, and let's have an absolutely wonderful worship time and teaching time together. Let's go ahead and jump in the room with the rest of our church.
of this world will not define us. We believe your kingdom lives. Your kingdom lives. Here and now. Your kingdom lives. Here and now. In our midst. Right here and now. Your kingdom lives. Here and now. Here and now.
Well, welcome everybody. If you want to grab a seat real quick, you can. And welcome to Grace this weekend. Thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody watching online, for joining in and being a part of the church family as well. So I want to welcome you and excited to be together. If you are our guest this weekend, best thing I can set you up with is the app. And so if you want to go out to the app stores, search Grace Ohio. You can download the Grace Church app, and that will work and function on any of those platforms. So encourage you to do that. And you can find all kinds of information on that app if you're looking for a place to plug in, or if you need to talk to somebody or connect, or looking for something with kids, whatever it is. All those portals are there on that app, and maybe it's your best resource. So I encourage you to do that. And if you come to Grace all the time, I encourage you to do that as well. You can sign up for things on the app. You can give through the app, and you can connect through the app too. So be sure that you check those things out. One of the reasons I want you to do that is because there's a lot going on right now. So this Sunday afternoon is the Family Fall Fest, and so encourage you to bring the kids out to that. And we'll have all kinds of trunks set up for them and games, and that's going to be a blast. So let them be a part of that. Or if you just want free candy and want to take it from children, you too can come to the Family Fall Fest and do that. But that's Sunday afternoon. And then fellas, men, we have a men's retreat coming up. And I haven't done one of those in a long, long time. I think it's going to be really, really good. And so encourage you to take a look at that and maybe be a part of it. And you can sign up on that with that through the app as well. So get that on your schedule and do that. And then the other big thing that's really starting to fire up and get organized right now is game day basketball. And so that's a big ministry here at Grace, something we love and really excited about. And so I want you to watch this video with me. This is Pastor Donnie, our sports ministry pastor, telling us a little bit about game day.
Hey guys, want to let you know that I am so excited about this year's game day. If you haven't heard already, we are completely sold out. We have over 600 child athletes who are going to be participating in this year's game day, which is a record. Also, want to let you know that we have a record number of volunteers who have signed up for game day, a record number of coaches and...
No.
Whoa, what are you doing?
We don't have coaches, and we don't have volunteers.
Dude, what are you talking about?
Just watch this.
According to Ripley's Believe It or Not, every 2 minutes at game day, a kid misses a layup. Statistics show that 25% of cheerleaders cheer in the wrong direction without a coach at game day. Sometimes they even get confused on what they're cheering for. Every 60 seconds at game day, a child athlete will run in the opposite direction of their team. Every hour of every month of every second, a team will block their own teammate at game day without a coach. Are you gonna let these kids go without a coach? The choice is yours.
But seriously, we really do need coaches and assistant coaches for basketball and for cheerleading. We need referees, and we need a whole host of other volunteer for this year's game day. We need actually over 300 volunteers to pull off this season of game day. So if you'd like to, go out to gameday.org, or you can go to the Grace Church app and sign up to volunteer. We'd love to have you consider doing that for this season of game day.
All right, there you go. So we need lots of help at game day. Over 600 kids are a part of that. And then, of course, we need all the coaches and refs and everybody who's involved with that. These kids, this is not just a basketball league. Like, these kids, we will disciple, we'll share Jesus with them. They'll be doing family devotions with their family. It's really an opportunity to invest in children's lives over the course of a few weeks. And God uses it in great, great ways. It's a powerful thing. So we'd love for you to be involved with that. So, and we need the help. So we can do this one or two ways. You can sign up through the app and get connected, or we can bring all 600 children to your house. So it's up to you, but we would love your help with it, and you will enjoy it, and it's a great way to serve kind of for a season of time and to make an investment in a kid's life, and so we'd love for you to be a part of it, all right? All right, check out everything else, be a part of it. Everything at Grace is always an open invitation. So if you see it advertised or you see it out there, it's for you. And we would love to invite you to tie into all those things, okay? We've got a great service this weekend, excited to get into it. So why don't we stand together, and the band will take us forward.
stop the God of love from reaching out. saving us. Jesus Christ has overcome. Cut the ties of who I was. Who could stop the God of strength? Freely giving, saving grace. He burned us back and took our place. Nothing stops a God so great. Nothing stops a God so great. Thanks for singing with us. You guys can have a seat.
Well, again, welcome, and welcome everybody online and everybody watching at the Montrose building. It's good to be with you guys as well. Thanks for joining us. We're in a series right now that we're calling the Unconventional Influencer. And in this series, we're talking about a guy named John the Baptist. John the Baptist is a key figure in the Bible. He is not divine. He's not Jesus. But he did do some things that really set a great example for us, especially the way that he interacted with Jesus and the way that he pointed other people toward Jesus. And today, we would say that John the Baptist had a big platform. We would say that he was a big influencer. We would say that he had a big brand. And what's fascinating about John the Baptist is instead of taking all of that and using it for himself, instead of deciding to make himself famous, he took that opportunity and he made himself faceless. He walked away from all that he could have had. He was a big deal in his day. He was a bigger deal than Jesus because he was on the scene before Jesus was. And thousands of people listened to John the Baptist. They followed him. He had political ties. He had connections. He had pull. He had everything that we might say that somebody should have. But instead of utilizing it for himself, he took that step back. Probably the statement of his that kind of sums him up in a lot of ways, one that I love a lot, is in John chapter 3, verse 30. John the Baptist says, he's talking about Jesus, he must become greater and greater, and I must become less and less. And that's what he did. He was an unconventional influencer, massive influence, huge eternal impact. But that happened because he stepped back and he pushed Jesus to the forefront of his life. And so we've been talking about that, and online, on the app, on the podcast, there's all kinds of ways to listen to those conversations. Kind of laid a big foundation for that. The first week, last week, Pastor Todd jumped in and walked us through this idea how truth is love. And when I tell you the truth, I'm actually loving you. And John the Baptist was that way. Instead of like just accepting where everybody was, kind of letting them discover their own truth, he faced them with some difficult things. But in reality, he was being incredibly loving toward them. So this weekend, I want to kind of move this conversation forward a little bit. And we're going to take this path. I want to show you a search that everybody is on, including you. So like every human being, me, you, everybody, is on this search. And this kind of jumps out in a big way when you're reading kind of what John the Baptist did and what his story is a little bit. So we'll look at that. And then I want to show you like John the Baptist's example and all of that. And then I want to spend some time asking you two questions, how this stuff shows up in our life, and see if we can surface some things and understand some things about our relationship with Jesus through it, okay? So we're going to start in the book of Luke, Luke chapter 3. It's page 833 in the Bibles in the chairs if you want to use those, or this is on the app, or just use your phone. But we're going to camp here on these two verses this weekend. So Luke chapter 3, verses 15 and 16. Here's the context. John the Baptist is kind of hitting the stride in his popularity. In fact, I'd say at this point in his story, he's at the peak of it. All these people are coming from all over the place to hear him teach, hear what he has to say, and hear his message. So this is not just pre-social media, this is pre-printing press, right? So for all these people to be coming from all over the place was a very, very big deal. The people are coming to John. They're hanging on his every word. He's got a message. It's a spiritual message. He's got a brand. He's got a platform. And they're coming to him. And they ask him this really fascinating question. And then he gives them a really clear answer. Verse 15, chapter 3. Everyone was expecting the Messiah to come soon. And they were eager to know whether John might be the Messiah. John answered their questions by saying, I baptize you with water, but someone is coming soon who is greater than I am, so much greater that I'm not even worthy to be his slave and untie the straps of his sandals. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with fire, right? So people are coming, and the Bible says they're expecting the Messiah to come soon. What that's talking about is this. Most of these people who are coming to hang out and hear from John the Baptist would have had a Jewish background, which would mean that they were very familiar with the Old Testament. And the Old Testament, or the first half of the Bible, has a lot of prophecy in it. And that prophecy points to the coming Messiah, right? Now, today, we know that that's Jesus. So Jesus is the promised Messiah. He fulfills hundreds of Old Testament prophecies, but at this point in the story, Jesus hasn't shown up yet. So the true Messiah isn't publicly on the scene. He's been born, but he doesn't come publicly on the scene here for a little bit. We'll look at that next weekend. So these people are looking at those Old Testament scriptures and they're understanding those things, and they're saying, man, this promised Messiah, he's supposed to show up in this way and this place. All these people are supposed to follow him and understand him. John, are you that guy? And should we be interacting with you as the Messiah? And should we be thinking of you as the promised Messiah? What should we do with that? So they start to ask him, are you that guy? You got the brand, you got the message, you got the platform, you got the influence. Are you the Messiah is what they're trying to figure out. And they come to John, and they come to him, and they're looking at him. And what they do in asking that question, if he is the promised Messiah, what they're doing is they're revealing something about their humanity, which is actually true of all of us, right? So I want to look at this for a second. So they come and they say, are you the Messiah? And when they do that, they're revealing a search that we are all on. Because I'm going to argue here for the next couple of minutes that every human being is looking for a Messiah. Right? So they come and they ask John that question. They're expecting the Messiah. They're eager to know whether John was the Messiah. Now, what is a Messiah? Let's talk about this for a second. A Messiah, that word just means deliverer or leader. It means deliverer or leader. So for the ancient Jewish people, the Old Testament Messiah was someone who was going to deliver them in their minds from their political position, from being a conquered, oppressed people, and then lead them to something great. What Jesus says about him, who he is the Messiah, is I'm your deliverer or leader, but I'm doing that spiritually, not culturally. You thought my kingdom was going to be the reestablishment of Israel. My kingdom is a spiritual kingdom. And I'm delivering you from your sin, and I'm leading you to a life and a life more abundant. The word Messiah just means deliverer or leader, and the people come to John, and they're saying, are you our deliverer? Are you our leader? And in that question, they are revealing to us the same search and the same question that every human being has can you be my Messiah? God created us in such a way that every human being has to have someone or something or some philosophy sitting in the Messiah seat in our life. We were created to search for a deliverer or for a leader, or what we would often say, created to search for God. And it's not because we're weak, and it's not because we're broken, and it's not because we're sinful. It's because we were created in the image of God. Therefore, we must satisfy the God question, right? So we're the only part of nature that does that. Squirrels don't pray, dogs don't go to church, cats are of the devil. I feel like I've taught you this, right? And so only human beings have to satisfy the God question, not because we're weak, not because we're broken, not because of sin, but because we were created to search and long for God. Every human being will have a Messiah in their life. We will have a person, we will have a philosophy, we will have a truth that leads us and delivers us and guides us, right? Now why? Because God created us that way. We all need comfort. And so we need to know that there is something greater that can comfort us. We all need to know that if we dial some version of 911 in life, somebody will pick up that phone. That's why 90+% of people in North America pray. Like, I need to know, or I need to believe that there's a higher power, that if I call on that power, that there is somebody on the other end of that life. We all need definition and direction. So every human being on planet Earth has some type of a life philosophy that governs their life. And I have my own philosophy. Well, there, you just made my point. We're either going to find one, we're going to adopt one, or we're going to create our own, but we all are looking to be led. We're going to have somebody speaking into that in our life someplace along the way, because we all need a Messiah. We're going to have a person or a philosophy or an idea or a structure that governs us, because we were created to have that need met. Everybody has a Messiah seat in their life, and somebody or something will fill that seat. And that's all these people were doing. They have that same need because they were human beings just like us. And they're looking and saying, I'm looking for a leader, I'm looking for a truth, I'm looking for a direction. Are you it, John? Because you're dynamic and you have authority and you make sense, and man, I could follow you. I'd be willing to. Are you what our heart is longing for? And they ask him that question, right? Now, this is where John's example becomes so powerful. Because you think about the power of that. When somebody would look at you and say, are you the one that I should be looking to? Are you the one who speaks truth? I'm willing to follow you. And what you tell me I should do, and what you tell me I should think, and the direction you think I should go, and the life philosophy, I am willing to place you in that Messiah seat. It is the longing of every famous, every wannabe influencer, every politician, every coach, everybody in us somewhere longs to sit in that seat, and John had the opportunity to do it. But instead of stepping up and doing some version of, well, I kind of am, sort of, coulda, you probably should, he steps back and he's like, no, I'm not who you're looking for. And you see this incredible example of the unconventional influencer, where he answers them in verse 16, and he says this. He answers their questions by saying, I baptize you with water, but someone is coming soon who is greater than I am, so much greater that I'm not even worthy to be a slave, untie the straps of his sandals. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with water. John steps back and he says, no, you're not looking for me, but I know the guy, and he's coming really soon, and he's not like me. He's not a different version of me. He's not, we're not kind of like the same. You should buy both of our books. He is greater, so much greater, that when you find the real Messiah, you're going to kind of forget about John the Baptist, right? This is huge. When I look at John's answer, I see a couple things. I see his example of stepping back. I also, when I look at his answer, I find this fascinating. I find it fascinating that he didn't rebuke them for asking the question. He didn't look at them and say, what are you doing, dummy? Hey, read the Old Testament correct. He didn't scold them. He didn't yell at them. He actually understood the impulse. He understood the need, but he made sure that he took that need and he took that desire and he pointed them to the truth. And we'll see next weekend that it's Jesus. Sorry to give it away, but it's Jesus, right? And he points them toward the truth, and he says, this is the guy that you actually need. I know that you need a Messiah. I'm not him, and this Jesus is who you need. Right? Now, all of that leads me to a couple questions. A couple questions where this is going to show up in real time, real life, in our life right now. And I want you to kind of wrap your head around these two concepts, right? Everybody needs a Messiah, and I'm not him. Everybody needs a Messiah, including me, and I'm not him, for you or for me. And that's what you see play out here in these couple of passages here in Luke. Everybody needs a Messiah, and I'm not him, right? And those two things are critical in our relationships with each other, and they're critical in our relationships with God, right? So I would ask these two questions. Here's my first question. The first question is this: who is your Messiah? Who is your Messiah? That's a basic, fundamental question of life, right? Now, we showed up at church this weekend. We came to Montrose. We dialed in online. And so everybody knows that the church answer is Jesus, right? You're supposed to say Jesus. When you're in church, when in doubt, just say Jesus, and then you'll probably get by, right? So Jesus. So I get that. I know that we would say that Jesus is the Messiah, and that is a correct answer. That is what you see play out at Christmas. It's what you see play out through the New Testament. Jesus is, in fact, the promised Messiah, right? That's what we say. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that is true in our life. So if I stop and I press into that question in my life, and I ask that question personally, who is my Messiah? Who is sitting in that seat in my life? How I answer that question and the truth with which I answer that question absolutely defines and directs my life. So how would you figure that out? I would ask myself questions like this under this one. Who's my Messiah? Well, how do you tell? I would ask a question like this. Who has the most authority in your life? Who has the most authority in your life? Jesus. Does he though? I mean, who actually has the most authority in your life? And whose program, philosophy, life structure do you actually yield to and follow? I remember years and years ago now, I was in youth ministry, and we were training this group of kids to go on this 3-week mission trip to Brazil. And so Heidi and I were doing everything from making them eat funny food to teaching them how to do puppets in Portuguese and all these kind of things, and just getting them ready for this trip. And one of the things that I had the kids doing is I wanted them to read a certain book of the Bible. And so I'm like, I want you guys to read that book of the Bible, and here's this many verses in a given week. Take notes on it, bring it back, tell me what you learned, all this kind of things. And so I was doing that, sending the kids home with homework every night. And one night I got a phone call from a dad, and dad's like, I want to talk to you. I'm like, oh, okay. I answered the phone, so go ahead. And he goes, I don't know who you think you are. And I'm like, well, my name's Jeff. Like, I'm not sure what conversation we're having right now. And he goes, I don't know who you think you are telling my kid what to do with his life. I said, I don't understand. He goes, you're telling my kid that he's got to eat this. You're telling my kid he was in a skit. He's got to memorize all these lines. You're telling my kid that he's got to read these verses, and you're telling my kid that he's got to write notes on it. He goes, you're chewing up his time. He's busy every night. And he said, I don't think you have any business telling my kid what to do. So I said, well, let's talk about this here for a minute. I said, your kid plays football, right? Yeah. I said, your football coach tells your kid when to show up at the gym, what his lifting schedule is, gives him a diet plan, mandates that he does after-school study halls, tells him what to dress, what the dress code is, tells him to memorize a playbook, tells him who he's allowed to sit by at lunch, tells him where he has to show up and what time he has to be at the bus. I said, just for reference, have you called the football coach and had this conversation with him? He tells your kid when to go to bed and then calls him if he's late to lifting. Are you having the same conversation with him? And what that father, and we talked about that, what he had done is he had chosen a Messiah. This person has the influence, and this person has the authority. And you don't, and it's not that I should be the Messiah and the football coach shouldn't. It's that I was trying to point your kid toward the true Messiah, and the football coach wasn't, and you're mad at me. And you start asking this question, who tells you when to get up and go to bed? Who tells you what's right and wrong? Whose authority do you yield to? Jesus. Are you sure? Because you didn't in your girlfriend's apartment last night. I don't think Jesus was in charge. There's Jesus. Are you sure? Because you made a big financial decision, and the Bible talks a lot about money, and I don't know that Jesus was in charge. I mean, let's be honest about it. Because somebody is going to sit in that seat. And John the Baptist would say, and there's only one person that belongs there. So who is the Messiah in your life? I would maybe ask this question. I was trying to figure this out. Whose voice fills your head? What do you take in? The Apostle Paul says in Romans, he says, faith comes from hearing. Faith comes from hearing. And it's odd. The Bible talks a lot about what we hear and what we think about. Why would God talk about that so much? Because it's the way that our life works. Ready? Here's something for you. You can get this as a tattoo if you want. Probably a full sleeve. Here it is. What I take in my ears fills my head. What fills my head fills my heart. What fills my heart defines my life. What I take in my ears fills my head. What fills my head fills my heart. What fills my heart defines my life. So what do I take in? From the music to the Netflix series to the podcast to the talk radio and when you take that, Jesus is my Messiah. When you take all of that and you weigh it against like scriptural intake, time in God's Word, worship time, teaching about God's truth as opposed to teaching about politics. Somebody's going to sit in that seat. Somebody's going to sit in that seat. Somebody's going to lead you. Somebody is going to be your hope of deliverance. See? Who do I listen to? And then the last one I put here was just, whose approval am I seeking? It's God, family, career. I'm like, are you sure? Because, I mean, I know that's what you're supposed to say, but is that? Because I wouldn't be surprised if mom trumps God, or husband trumps God, or boss trumps. Now, I'm just asking. But I just want us to see this. That need for a Messiah is universal and timeless. Not because you're weak, not because you're dumb, and not because you're sinful. Because you're created in the image of God. That seat is going to be filled, right? And John knew that. Somebody's going to sit in that seat, right? And we would look at that and say, well, who's there? Like truly, like for real, who's there? And how are they governing and directing my life? Okay? So somebody's going to sit in that seat, ready? You're going to have a Messiah, and you're not it. And that's what John knew. He's like, yep, you need a Messiah, and it's not me. There's somebody greater, so much greater, and that's who you want to find out. And this is what I find a lot of times. The second question I would have is this: are you embracing a Messiah complex? What I find a lot of times is we will get into the Messiah seat. And the people, it's fascinating, they wanted John to be the Messiah. And he's like, I'm not the Messiah. And there would have been a collective groan and disappointment that he wasn't what they wanted him to be. So he's like, yeah, you need one, but I'm not him, right? And so we would ask that question: do I have the Messiah complex, right? And we wrestle with this. I think we wrestle with this. I think we wrestle with this on two levels. One is an intentional way that we put ourselves in the Messiah complex, right? Here's what this would sound like. Anytime that we would say any version of, I must live my truth, I've just put myself in the Messiah seat. Anytime we would say any version of, I should be true to myself, I just put myself in the Messiah seat. Any version of, I gotta go with my gut, I just put myself in the Messiah seat. Any time in my life where I'm doing anything other than seeking out the truth and the wisdom and the direction of the true Messiah, I have put myself in that Messiah seat, right? And that's a seat, you can sit in it, we just don't belong in it, and we are incapable of managing it. Because if my truth was going to take me to happiness, wouldn't you have happiness by now? If my truth was going to take me to relational peace, wouldn't you have relational peace by now? If my truth was going to relieve anxiety and worry and depression, wouldn't have those things been relieved by now? If I could answer those questions with my own truth, why would I ever linger in those points of pain? So the Messiah seat's just over all of our pay grades, over all of our heads. But we will slip into that seat, right? Because a lot of times we do that because we're scared. A lot of times we do that because we don't know what else to do. A lot of times we do that for some of those same reasons that these folks did it. They saw something, they're like, maybe that's the Messiah. And I don't know another one, and so I'll go with John the Baptist. But if I have that Messiah complex where I've slipped into that seat, I'm sitting in a place that only belongs to Christ. Sometimes we do that intentionally. We also do this unintentionally. Like I said, sometimes we're just scared, sometimes we're disoriented, But sometimes we sit in the Messiah seat because we love people. And I love you, and I want what's best for you, and I think what's best for you is what I think. I love it when my kids care about what I think. I love it when they try to make me happy. I love it when they try to please me. I think it's great because I love my kids. And I think I know what's best for their life. And when they do what I think is best for their life, it pleases me, right? I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to manipulate. I'm not trying to control. But I've just put myself in the Messiah seat where you're responding to Daddy instead of to your Heavenly Father. I got a call this summer. I was talking to our missions agency that we send our missionaries with, Encompass World Partners. And the head of it, he said, hey, I want to bounce an idea off of you. He said, I want to have a vision campaign. I thought, okay. So I thought he was trying to raise money for something. Maybe we're going to open up another mission field or something. And he said, here's the slogan for the vision campaign. I was like, okay. He goes, the slogan is, let them go. And I thought, that's a weird way to raise money. Like, let your dollars go, your checks go. Like, what are we letting go of? And I said that. I was like, Dave, this is kind of a weird way to raise money. He goes, oh, I'm not trying to raise money. I go, oh, what are we trying to do? He said, I'm trying to get new missionaries to the field. So we need young missionaries. We need energetic missionaries. We have new opportunities. We need missionaries to go to the field. And I said, why are we saying let them go? He said, because the number one thing that we face, number one obstacle we face with sending new missionaries to the field are the young people's parents and grandparents. I said, that's fascinating. I said, do they all hate Jesus and hate missions and hate? He goes, no. He said, they all want what's best for their kids. So they don't want their kids to be unsafe. They don't want them to be unhappy. And they don't want them to get behind on the American dream. So they won't let them go. They won't support them. And that's fascinating. What are those parents doing? Unintentionally. Nobody's being a jerk, because I think these parents do love Jesus. They do love their kids. What are they doing? They're putting themselves in the Messiah seat. And they're asking their children or grandchildren to listen to them instead of pointing them toward Christ. Know Him and know His will and know His purpose for your life. Right? So who's your Messiah? It's a really powerful question. And then, do you have a Messiah complex? Is a really powerful question. And John the Baptist would look and say, at this scenario playing out here, verse 15, 16, he's like, guys, I know what you're doing, because everybody's looking for a Messiah, and I am not Him. But I know Him, and I can point Him to you, and I want you to know Him. And He is greater, so much greater. When you encounter the real Messiah, these longings that are driving you to ask me are going to be met in Him. These areas of your life that you're hoping, you want me to lead you and deliver you. I can barely lead myself, and I can't deliver myself. John the Baptist is going to be beheaded by the king for telling him the truth about something. He couldn't deliver himself from that, let alone deliver you. He's like, I'm not your guy, but I know the guy. And the guy is Christ, and that's who you need to know. And so when we think about this, I'm looking for a Messiah, and I am not the Messiah. But I have to look and say those needs need to be met by Christ alone. Because these Messiah needs are going to show up in our life all the time. All the time. When you're anxious and scared, and you need to alleviate that fear and anxiety, and you turn to anything other than Christ, what that is is the Messiah need surfacing in your life. Let me show you this, right? So we'll come to these points in our life where we'll say, I'm empty and I need purpose. Like the rat race is killing me. I don't know why I'm going to school. I don't even like my life. Why am I doing these things? When I feel that way, that is the Messiah chair needing to be filled. And you can chase that down 1,000 ways. I'm going to go have fun until my face falls off. That's what I'm going to do. And it will not meet that need. I'm going to go and I'm just going to volunteer. And I'm not really trying to serve you. I'm trying to fill that need in me. You can do all that you want, but that need and that emptiness is the Messiah need in your life. And when you feel that, Jesus would look at you and he would say, hey, I'm the bread of life. When you feel that hunger pain in you, you're not looking for an adventure. You're not looking for a volunteerism. You're longing for me. And I can fill that in you because I am the true Messiah and I'm the only one that belongs in that chair. See? When I feel directionless and lost and aimless and what am I doing and why am I doing it? Is it a career change? Is it to shift your major in school? What is it that I'm looking? That's the Messiah need surfacing in your life. And Jesus would look and say, guys, I'm actually the light of the world. Like when you feel lost and confused and overwhelmed, if you'll embrace me as the Messiah, I can walk you through that. When you're anxious and you don't feel safe and everything's out of control, and I want to take control and I want to manipulate, I want to put up barriers, I want to know every detail and I want to, and I feel angry, Jesus would look and say, that's your Messiah need. That's your longing for a Messiah that's surfacing in you. That's why you feel that way. And I'm actually the good shepherd. I will protect you. I will shield you. I will help you. Because I am what you are looking for. When you're overwhelmed with grief and loss, and I can't even think straight, and I feel numb, and I feel like I can't even communicate what's going on in the depths of my heart because I am smack dab in the valley of the shadow of death. What is that pain, and what is that grief, and what is that void? That's exposing your need or longing for a Messiah. And Jesus would say in those moments, I'm the resurrection and the life. Like if you would let me be that Messiah, that deliverer, that leader during this time, it's amazing what the hope of salvation and heaven and resurrection, how that serves as a salve for grief and loss. So that I grieve, but not like one with no hope. Because my Messiah is greater than. See, he's the 911 who will pick up the call. When I'm looking for truth and direction, should I give my life to this? Should I just get into this? Is it spirituality? Is it health? Is it fitness? Is it money? Is it something? Jesus would say, well, I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. I'm the only thing that you can invest your life in that will always make sense all the time. It's a comprehensive plan for your life. Everything else is going to fall short in one way or another. When I'm feeling lonely and I'm like an outsider and I just graduated from high school and my friends went off to college and I'm here all by myself and I don't know what to do now and I'm frustrated and there was just a breakup, Jesus would say, I'm the true vine. If you could let me be the Messiah in that moment, I could connect you to myself and push life through you. And all of these needs and all of these longings are not necessarily sin. They're not necessarily brokenness. They're not necessarily weakness. They simply awaken this core need that was wired into us by God to search for Him. You're not longing for your addiction, alcohol, drugs, pornography. You're longing for your Messiah. You're not longing for safety and security. I need more money. I need to live in this area. You're longing for your Messiah. You're not longing to be married. I hate being single, it's the worst. You're longing for your Messiah. And when the people came and they're like, John, we have longings. Are you what we're looking for? He's like, no, I'm not. But I can tell you who you are looking for. And He'll actually satisfy you. And He'll actually help you. And He actually loves you. And by the way, He actually showed up, right? And He didn't say this part, but I will. And I'll introduce you to Him next weekend, right? Because John looks and says, that's the guy. That's the guy. He's got to be greater, greater. I become less and less, right? Everybody needs a Messiah, and you're not him. But He is available, and He loves you, and He knows what you need, and He knows what you long for. And that's why He made Himself nothing, took on the nature of a servant, showed up in our lives so that we could know Him, interact with Him, and be filled by Him, right? Okay. Band's going to come out. Maybe you can bow your heads and close your eyes with me for a minute. And maybe we can just kind of review those questions for a second, right? Who's your Messiah? Somebody's in that seat. We have to have somebody or something in that seat. We have to, or we lose all hope and direction in life. Who's your Messiah? And are you sitting there, living your truth, going with your gut, being true to yourself? I suppose it's a great thought because it's an easy answer. But the Bible says there's a way that seems right to us, but in the end, it leads to death. Because whoever's in that Messiah seat is who I worship. It's who I believe in. It's who I think my salvation comes from. And if that's anybody but Jesus Christ. So maybe in these still moments we search our heart. Maybe in these still moments we ask God to reveal truth. Maybe we slip out of that seat and invite Jesus to sit where He belongs. Jesus, in all of this, would you meet us here? Would you meet us here? And God, any aspect of our heart that is not yours, that we would hold back or hang on to, would you help us? Would you meet us in that place? And with your grace and your mercy and your truth, would you help us to position our hearts correctly and yield to you?
that saved a wretch like me. Ooh, I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see it now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes. Laying yourself down, raising up the broken to life. Take our failure, you take our weakness. You set your treasure in jars of clay. So take this heart, Lord, I'll be your vessel, the world to see your life in me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see it now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes. Laying yourself down, raising up the broken to Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see it Oh, I can see the love in your eyes. Laying yourself down, raising up the broken to
God, thank you for songs like that that remind us of your power and your love. And we can look back on our lives and remember and see just how broken we were, how broken we are still sometimes. But when we sing a song that it's so easy to just say, hey, you are my Messiah. That you loved me when no one else would. With a perfect love. You took me, faults and all. So maybe it's even just taking a moment right now to just find trust in that I don't have to have it all together all the time. That I can trust in you, trust in your love, trust in your bigness. That you've loved me from the first step and you will continue until I finish. So in the lives that we live each day, the chaos, God, thank you that you are our Messiah. That you stand the test of time. That you've proven yourself over and over again. God, thank you. In Jesus' name.
Speak to me when silence stills my voice. You understand me. You understand me. And come to me in the valley of unknowns. You understand me. You understand me. You understand me. Understand me. So I throw all my cares before you. My doubts and fears don't scare you. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought. So I stop all negotiations with the God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you were. Bigger than I thought you were. Bigger than I thought. I believe, but help my unbelief. You understand me. You understand me. Help me reach the faith that's underneath. You understand me. You understand me. You understand me, God. You understand me. So I throw all my cares before you. My doubts and fears don't scare you. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought. So I stop all negotiation with the God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought you were. I will rest in the Father's hands. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. I will rest in the Father's hands. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. I will rest in the Come on, you believe it? See what our Savior has done, and see how His love overcomes. He has done great things. He has done great things. Oh, hero of heaven, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain. Oh God, you have done great things. We dance in your freedom, awaken to life. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high. Oh God, you have done great things. Yeah. Faithful through every storm, you'll be faithful forevermore. You have done great things. I know you will do it again, for your promise is yes and amen. You will do great things. Oh God, you do great things. Oh, hero of heaven, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain. Oh God, you have done great things. We dance in your freedom, awaken to life. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high. Oh God, you have done great things. Hallelujah, God, above it all. Hallelujah, God, unshakable. Hallelujah, you have done great things. Come on, sing it together. Hallelujah, God, above it all. Hallelujah, God, unshakable. Hallelujah, you have done great things. You've done great things. Oh, hero of heaven, you conquer the grave. You free every captive. You break every chain. Oh God, you have done great things. We dance in your freedom, awaken to life. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high. Oh God, you have done great things. You have done great things. Yes, God, you do great things.
And it's so great to be with you all today. If you want someone to talk to, you know, something to get off your chest, we got people all over here that love to talk, pray with you. If you're new, make sure to grab one of those bags just to let you know we love you and hope to see you again soon. For the rest of you guys, it's always just such a highlight of my week, right? So great to see you guys. Let's do it again next week, right?